Hello YouTube, it's Bo Brady, welcome back. Okay, so, wow. So this is an aerial photograph of San Francisco from 1972. And, wow, 1972. And so in this area right here, we're not seeing any sand. Alright, because right here, this one's 1938. And there's all this sand right here. Oh, wow. And this is 1938, and there's already a bridge there, but here in 1972, it looks like there's even less of a bridge there, which is very strange, because very clearly there's a bridge there. Right? Yeah, I see a bridge. That's a bridge. This is 1938. This is 1972. I have no idea why in 1972 the bridge would be less complete. That's very strange. But that's not why I wanted to make this video originally. So, no sand. And a bunch of sand here. So, this sand didn't disappear. Like, obviously it was, it had to be removed somehow. And then under the sand, there's obviously, I guess, street grids or property, I don't know. There's stuff under the sand though, obviously. Because nature doesn't make squares. Right angles and squares are things nature does not typically do, and there's a whole bunch of squares under the sand. Alright, and then we got, alright, Taraval, we got Santiago, and it's not, they haven't completely got the sand out of that street. And then Rivera, completely blocked, at least in this portion. Rivera, and here, so like maybe this is what's under the sand, even though those squares look bigger than these lots. Okay, but okay, and then Pacheco, Ortega. What is that? Strange. So these streets needed to be cleared out of, the sand needed to be cleared away from the street. The street was obviously already there. The sand is just covering it. Okay, so which brings me to this. This picture was taken in, here, let's go back. Alright, this picture is in 1909. Okay, and it says pushing the Fulton Street. So Fulton is up here. Fulton Street. So in 1909, that picture shows pushing the Fulton, and it looks like the image is taken about right here. Alright. And then there's like, well, yeah, right there. And so they're just pushing the sand out of the way. Right about here. And so obviously the sand continues out this way, as far as we can see. So presumably the sand was covering all over here too. So in 1909, all this was covered in sand, and then got cleaned up by the time for this picture to be taken in 1938. But in 1938, there was still this much left to do, and then in 1972, it was complete. So, obviously, we're being lied to about our history, because we were never, in the narrative, we're told to believe there was never any, like, what would it take to cause not only that, but imagine that being so bad that it's covering all this, because it's covering all that here, presumably much further too. So it was this entire all that sand at one point, and there's no, it would have to be a tsunami. Basically, it would have to be the biblical Great Flood, actually, that would, so that the biblical Great Flood, the Bible tells us that there's a civilization that got wiped out in the biblical Great Flood, and then the Epic of Gilgamesh mirrors that account, but also what Plato describes about Atlantis is also the same event that the Bible's referring to. And every culture, every civilization, even like the Native Americans and tribes, they all have an oral tradition of flood myths, but they're not myths. It obviously really happened if the whole world is saying it did, and the Bible's saying it did, and then we got evidence here showing massive flooding that they still haven't cleaned up in 1938 all the way. And then there's all kinds of evidence for that. The topic to search for, if you haven't heard of it, is the mud flood. If you search for the mud flood, you'll see a bunch of people showing a bunch of evidence for a flood that we're being lied to about in our history. But this bridge is really tripping me out now. I gotta do some research and look into this bridge a little more, but that's it for now. Let me know what you think down below.